Hello, everybody, and welcome to another comedian's interview for my blog and podcast, A Rich Comic Life. My name is Richard Gill, and my blog describes my experiences of watching over 1,500 comedians for 50 years. My guest today is the wonderful comedian. It's Miss Pauline Eyre. Yay! Hello. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm all right. I've possibly got a migraine starting, but we're going to plow on with this
Well, I
because
hope I hope it's not my clapping.
that will be it. No, it's fine. It's hopefully this will a bit of adrenaline will throw this
You'll
through
be
it.
fine, I'm sure. Here we go. It's lovely to have you as a guest. Thank you so much. You know how big a fan I am.
Madman.
And as It's going to last about 45 minutes to an hour. The interview. It's all about your comedy career,
Oh, talking about
and
myself for all that time.
I'd like to go right the way back and ask you first off, please, how did you become a comedian in the first place?
Wow. Oh, it's a lovely story actually. So about 10 years ago, I uh I was always listening to comedy on Radio 4. And I opened my local paper back in the days when it was still a newspaper that came free through the door. And it said that Shappi Khorsandi was playing locally. And I thought, oh, I've heard her on the radio. I really like her. So I booked tickets. And then I went on Twitter and said, oh, I'm going to see Shappi Khorsandi. So excited I got these tickets. And she replied and said, how exciting. I'll be there. Oh, how wonderful. And then through a very strange, bizarre set of circumstances, she put out a tweet and said, don't suppose anybody's driving home to West London after the gig. And the gig was in North London, where I live. So I replied, yeah, we are. We'll drive you home. And we agreed to drive her home, which was really strange. It wasn't on our way at all, but the chance to drive home just sounded really glamorous and fun. So we went to see the gig. We loved it, my husband and me. And then in the interval, we sat in there was a little bar, and we sat in the bar, and I said, "Oh my God, she's just like me. She's a woman in her 40s, just standing on a blank stage talking about her kids.
Yeah.
I want to write for her." I've done a bit of writing. I had done a bit of writing before. And he said, "Well, they write their own material, don't they? So that's not a thing." And we took her home, and she was high from doing the gig, and we chatted and had some wine, and it just inspired me. It was literally that thing of if you can see it, you can be it. And it had never occurred to me in 100 years
Wow.
to do comedy. And I got in touch with her afterwards and I said, if I wanted to have a go, how would I start? And she said, well, there's this brilliant guy called Logan Murray. He runs courses. Start
Been
there.
on here. Yeah, yeah,
So I did
yeah.
Logan's course. And it was, and it's silly because I did a drama degree, um, discovered, when I was 18, discovered doing that I couldn't really act, having always wanted to act, and realized that I wasn't very comfortable being other people. Um, and it took me another 35 years. I was 48, I think, when I
Wow.
first stepped on a stage. And as soon as I did, it was like, oh, this is what it was all along. This is what I've looked for all my life.
That is
Lovely.
incredible.
Isn't it
What a
lovely?
story.
It's a lovely story, and it really does show you, because I'd seen comedians, I'd seen stand up, not masses of it, but I'd always enjoyed comedians. I was always that person that wanted to be the funny one in the room.
Yeah.
And it never occurred to me. And when I said to Fred, it felt like coming out, saying to some close friends, I'm thinking of trying this. One friend just went, well, yeah, of course you are. I was like, oh, what? Really? Oh, somebody should have said it to me. Never occurred to me, and it's made me so happy.
That's
Yeah,
brilliant. That's so good.
yeah,
That's the reason why I do the blog. For years I had lists of favorite band of concerts, films, and comedy, and I just made a list of every act I ever saw. And a friend of mine said, "This is crying out for a blog." Literally, I said, "What's a blog?" And then they said, "Well, if you've got a little camera, you can do a little podcast," and that's how it all started. And my older brother said to me, he said, "My work, I have a really good job as an administrator at Wandsworth Council, but
yeah.
my brother said to me, you know, it's fantastic that you found your vocation at 55. And I think I've got a unique thing, whereas nobody's ever done it from an audience point of view. And it's extraordinary how it's taken off. And to find your purpose in life is just magical, isn't it?
It really is. And
Yeah.
it's not like I didn't have, I've had a lot of careers. I've done loads of different jobs and I still do. I'm sort of, a freelance butterfly, I suppose.
Yeah, yeah.
And and they've but looking back over the years, everything I really loved doing always involved me being at the front, getting lots of attention. And there's this incredible understanding of, like, I was always the little girl who wanted loads of attention. And in the 1970s, that was like, no, you need to not be looking for attention. You're just attention seeking. And now I get so rewarded for it. I can even get paid for it, for
It's
being
so
this
good.
childish, just trying to make people laugh, little kid in the room. And it's such a joy. It goes to a really deep place,
The
which
one thing it's done for me is give me confidence. I
Mhm.
used to for years sit at the back of comedy nights, thinking my infamous laugh that I should get insured would carry the thing. And about God, 10 years ago, I sat on the front row, and I've never looked back. I love being part of the set.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and it's lovely, and somebody like you in the room gives everybody else permission to
Yeah,
let go and laugh.
yeah.
If because it's another British thing, isn't it?
It's
Of
so good. It,
if nobody's laughing, I'll just sort of laugh behind my hand, or I'll feel
yeah, yeah,
uncomfortable
yeah.
laughing, and that it's the whole point of the thing.
I'm
Yeah,
so pleased for you. It's such a lovely
thank you.
story.
It is.
Yeah,
It is. I'm so chuffed that it happened. It's just it was
brilliant.
fated, wasn't it?
So tell me about your first ever gig and what was it like?
Well, it sort of leads on from there, actually, because I'm not going to tell you. Well, I can tell you about my first ever stand-up gig, which was we had the showcase at the end of Logan's course, but I decided that was becoming too big a thing in my head,
Right.
and so I booked myself in for two open mics the week before, so that became my third gig. I'm really glad I did, because I wasn't very good at that one, but I'd already done it a couple of times, and so I could put it in perspective and go, that wasn't as good as last week. So I went to Comedy Virgins,
Yeah. Know it
and
well.
yeah, and I didn't want anyone I knew to see me doing it for the first time. So I met this woman through Logan, who was also doing the same course at the same time, but not the same actual course. He was running two courses at the same time. She was on the other one. We were both very keen, and she said, "I'll come along and be your bringer for the first one," which was really kind of her. So nobody I knew was in the room, and her name, you won't have heard of her. She then disappeared from the face of the earth. Catherine something Bohart, I think it was. And
Wow.
very
What a
kindly.
small world.
I know. So she was my first bringer. And then, of course, she launched hugely.
Yeah,
But
she's brilliant.
really, I remember going on stage at Comedy Virgins and looking out, and somebody had told me, but I'd forgotten, that there's a huge mirror at the back of the room. So you look out, you see the audience, and then you see yourself in a mirror. And I remember having two thoughts. First one was, oh, that's really awful putting that mirror there. That's really tough. And then looking into the mirror and looking at myself and going, you look so happy.
Yeah.
But actually, the first gig I want to tell you about is because probably a couple of years later, when I got a bit better, I was doing a gig in, I don't know, in the East End somewhere, and there was a woman in the front row, and she was she'd really lost it laughing at what I was saying, and I just was so delighted with myself, and she was having this lovely time, and I was watching her, and I had this moment in my head of thinking, I've got another line now that's going to finish you up. I've got more, and it's going to be wonderful. And then at that moment, I had a bit of a flashback to being, and this is where it all comes from, Richard. I was 5. I had just started primary school, and at Christmas there was a concert for the parents, and I was given a solo to sing, and it was very cute. And I walked out dressed as a chef. I had a whole little song about, I think I'd like to bake. I wonder what I'll make. Raisins blue and cherries too. I think I'll bake a cake. And I
Brilliant.
started singing, and I remember looking out and seeing all the mums and dads, And my memory of it is in my head as I'm thinking, they think I'm really cute. This is brilliant. They're all looking at me and I really love it. But in a minute, I've got a bit of business with the raisins blue and the cherries too, and I'm going to hold them up and they're going to lose their minds. I've got this, coming
That's
up. It's going to be
fantastic.
even better.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
had that same feeling on stage, and I do it now, and I consciously say something. I just sort of hug myself close and think, I am that little girl
Oh, brilliant.
going, I've got something really funny, and you're going to really like me. And so,
That's
having a
so
good
good.
gig,
Yeah,
beautiful. It's yeah. So
it's
it's
so good. It reminded me of my first memory of watching comedy. I was 5, and it was Christmas Day with the entire family. So my mum,
yeah,
dad, my brother, my grandma who lived down the road, all came round for Christmas Day, and we watched the Morecambe and Wise Christmas show. And everybody, young or old, were crying at them, and they're the reason why the blog exists. They're the
mm,
reason why it all started off. There is something more about comedians who can twiddle glasses or move fezzes or, um, without doing anything, that walk onto a stage and you are crying with laughter at
yeah.
them. And I thought to myself, this is what's not to love? It's such a joyous medium,
Yeah,
you know.
and they were so
Oh,
childlike.
yeah,
They were
yeah.
so childlike. Not just you think of Eric Morecambe as being childlike because he was just being silly, but Ernie Wise was trying so hard to be a grown
Oh,
up,
one
and that's
needed
why
the
it
other.
was funny.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So, yeah, it's so good that it's like born into us, really, isn't
Yeah,
it? From such an early age.
and it
Um,
goes so deep, and comedy was, or being funny was quite, it was part of our family culture.
yeah,
To make the family laugh was just in terms of around the kitchen table or around the dining table sort of thing. But I was never the funny one. My brother was always the funny one.
right.
So I didn't realize I could be the funny one because I was just the youngest. Whereas, of course, anybody who knows anything about psychology and youngest children spent the rest of my life trying to prove I'm the funny one.
Well, I'm the
Uh,
youngest.
there you are. I think we get the best deal. I think
Yeah.
we get the best deal. I think our
I,
parents know what they're doing by the time they
Very
get to,
much so.
yeah.
I go into work after I've seen a comedy gig the night before, and I can remember jokes that made me laugh, tell them at work, and they don't get laughs because I can't
Yeah.
tell them.
Well, not necessarily that, but it's the context.
Yeah.
I was watching something a couple of days ago, and there is one line that sticks in my head so, and I could cry laughing just remembering it. But if I say it, it's a really offensive joke because it's
Yeah.
out and
Yeah, it's
and it's
context.
just being unkind about somebody, but it wasn't. It's the whole context of something is so much richer in the context of that show.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, very much
I was
so.
watching The Death of Anna Mann with Colin Holt.
Oh, what a character!
Yeah.
They used to have the character on Always Be Comedy when it was online, and he had me sitting in the front row doing all manner of things, which were um,
I've got to go back now and watch all the sketches. Anyone I've seen with
was an
the Smith
extraordinary
on.
character.
It's, oh, and what a beautiful show.
Yeah,
What
it's brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
a,
Okay, so the next question is: did you ever find it difficult at all to break through into comedy? And what I mean by that is, were gigs difficult to find, or how did you book your gigs early on?
no, not difficult to find early
No.
on. I did 4 years on the London open mic scene, and
Yeah.
you could gig every night of the week, and you could do several gigs in an evening if you wanted, which I
Right.
didn't. Uh, but you had to. There were a lot of these bringer gigs, which
Yeah.
I didn't really have a problem with because being a woman in my late 40s, I had a whole lifetime of friends,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
people I could invite along, and I had one particular friend was always happy, or two particular friends who were always happy to come along, and that was really nice of them. And controversial, but I quite liked bringer gigs. I always found that the room was very warm. Everybody
Yeah.
was very welcoming and open to seeing other people's friends having a go. And the non-bringer gigs were often harder because there wasn't an audience.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
just playing to
I
comic.
was I was always bringer of the bringer because they knew I would laugh in all the right places,
Yeah,
and
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 nice and loud.
so I'd watch, I don't know, a brand new comedian about 5 or 6 times, And on the fifth go, I knew exactly what that 5 minutes was going to be. So I'm like, I'm just going to leave you to it now. And another magical thing about the blog is watching everybody develop. It's so good because I list every act I've ever seen, and so oh, I remember that, and I can remember that, and you get stories and things from that. So it's lovely.
We're all so
it's such a
bad at
good
the
thing.
start.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't go that far. You know,
You can see when people have you can see when people have you know, a talent or
yeah,
potential. You can't necessarily know who will be the ones who will do. From the course I did with Logan, there were 17 or 18 of us. Two of us are still gigging. I could definitely rank those people, and I was probably fourth or fifth. But those other three or four ahead of me are no longer gigging. And there was one who was outstanding and so talented right from the start, and she didn't last very long at all. She didn't enjoy the circuit.
wow,
Um, and actually what happened is that the two of us that carried on working hard are the ones who 9 years later are still gigging.
still gigging. Yeah,
Yeah.
I had a go at it once.
Did you?
I've had a go at it once in my entire life, and it was a disaster. Never say never again. But
Yeah.
years and years ago, when I first went to Edinburgh, I used to know the promoter there, and he said we can put you on a gong show for old people. Couldn't be
Oh,
worse.
blimey.
On a Monday afternoon, in the raining. So I walked out. There's three people in the crowd, and I walked out and I said, "Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. People think I look like Eddie the Eagle Edwards, the ski jumper, but I can't see the resemblance myself." Now, I thought that was a great opening line. Some
Mm-hmm.
old bloke at the back just went, "Fuck off and cut me off."
Oh, God.
So I walked off to my own footsteps. The promoter said, "Have another go." So I did. Same thing happened. And I just thought, this
Oh,
is not for me. I think I'm going to sit in the audience. And that's what I did, you know. But never
I've
say
never done
never
a gong show.
again. But
Never done a gong show.
you have my utmost admiration for what you do. You really do.
I can't encourage people enough not to do gong shows.
No, no, they're horrible.
They are a horrible thing.
What do you like to talk about on stage? Do you have any specific themes or anything like that?
Well, I definitely feel like I've been the menopause comedian for the last certainly the last 7 or 8 years, and I no longer I'm just getting to the stage now where I don't lead on it, and I have been known to do a whole 20 minutes without doing the menopause stuff, although it's my most tried and tested material. I'm
Yeah,
looking forward to moving beyond it. I love it and I'm very proud of it. But yeah,
it
but
is so well done. Yeah, yeah,
thank you. I mean, I always call it the comedy gift that keeps on giving. There's so much to it that's funny, and quite universal, I think, because I think
yeah.
young people are very often, oh my God, that's my mum. And men are very often, oh my God, that's
Relatable.
my mum or that's my wife. Or yeah, it's something that everybody lives with. This thing that women go through affects everybody else
Yeah,
around.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I've talked a lot about that. And my show, the show that I just did in Edinburgh, was called Body and was about my relationship with my body.
Hmm, hmm.
Yeah. So
Um,
take a bit beyond that.
what is your view of comedy competitions? Do you like them? Have you been in many? Do you think they're good for a comedian's career?
I think they can be. I
Yeah.
did I did all the ones I was eligible for early on. Um, I in fact my second gig, I mentioned I did these two gigs before I did the showcase. The second gig was at Funny Women.
Oh
And
yeah.
I was encouraged after that gig to enter the competition. And off I went and did that and thought I was amazing. Got to the semi-final. It was ridiculous, ridiculous. I got through a
Well
round,
done, you.
2 rounds, I can't remember. Yeah, no, crazy. I wasn't ready at all. It was fun. Um, uh, and then I did, in fact, I think I got to three Funny Women, possibly even four Funny Women semi-finalists. Talk about always the bridesmaid. And I wanted to get to one final of one competition because that was when I thought, well, agents will come and see you and then your career could take off. And it
Yeah,
could. Certainly, I saw that happen to a lot of friends. Catherine, for one, got to the final of the BBC and to Funny Women. And so she was seen consistently being brilliant.
yeah.
Two or three of these competitions within a year. I got to semi-final of Leicester Square a few times. I got to a couple of finals, one of which was cancelled.
Oh dear.
Yeah, so I'm unbeaten in that one. I got to the Colchester New Comedian final, and that was really fun. Um, which was won by Amy Trigg, who's now a West End star and
Right.
writer, brilliant
Right.
actor. Um,
It's amazing
she
what they
did a
do,
bit of
isn't it?
comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Thought she'd have a bit of a go at comedy. She was brilliant, damn
Yeah.
her.
Yeah.
But she's gone back to theatre. Um, so I think they are a good thing, but I hate them with a passion. Um, partly because I never perform my best at them because I'm an extremely competitive person,
Right.
extremely competitive. I play a lot of tennis, and I love competition.
Yeah.
I don't win them, and I can't. I'm not good at them. I don't perform at my best in them. So they don't bring me a lot of joy, and I'm quite glad not to any longer be eligible for almost all of them. There is one left that I'm still eligible for, and I've been resisting so far doing that one just because
Mm.
it's I just don't it doesn't make me happy.
I think competitiveness is a good thing though for comedians, isn't it? Gig after gig after gig, you're always fighting to be better than
No, I don't
some
think you
or
should be
not.
fighting
No,
to be better than other people. I think you should be fighting to improve.
to
So
improve.
competitive with
Yeah.
yourself, yes. Um, but it's not, and I find it very hard to switch that off. I find
Mm.
it hard. I mean, in an ordinary comedy night, I don't go home thinking I was where I didn't rank. I wouldn't rank myself on the
No.
night. But in a comedy competition, I will, and it's just it's a bit self-destructive
Right.
because I go home just miserable because that person was better than me, or a couple of times it's happened that I felt I was better and didn't go through. But mostly I come away going, yeah, no, I just wasn't as good as them. And that makes me sad. Whereas I'd rather
Yeah.
come home going, right, here are the ways I need to get better. Or oh, I watched somebody tonight and that made me realize either something good about them or something bad about them that I want to learn from. So it's not a competition. It shouldn't be a competitive thing. And you shouldn't, not the competitions shouldn't happen because they have their benefits, but I can't compare my route with anybody else's. Otherwise, I'll compare myself with Catherine Bohart, and that is the way to madness. She's a very, very different person, a very different performer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Without a doubt, a better performer then and now. I've got no qualms about that. But it doesn't mean that I can't be a professional comedian and
No,
I
it
can't,
doesn't.
enjoy what I do
Yeah. Yeah.
and work at my own pace to do that. And I don't have a moment's resentment of, I do have a moment's resentment of her, but not her as an individual because she's a fantastic person and a huge talent.
Yeah.
But it would do me no good. I might as well stop if I'm just going to do that. It's like playing your first tennis match against Andy Murray.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
It doesn't mean you can't have a wonderful, lovely life in tennis, and make it as a tennis player.
Yeah.
To
Yeah. Yeah.
what
No.
we
No.
did,
No. No. It's a good analogy.
you know.
Um,
I'm obsessed with tennis. My next show will be about tennis.
one of the things I love about you on stage is your confidence. I think you're exceptionally confident on stage. Um, do you suffer or have you suffered from any nerves before you go on stage? And if so, how do you cope with them?
Difference between nerves and confidence for sure. Can I talk about the confidence thing first? I am quite confident, and then I also have times of enormous loss of self-esteem.
Right.
So
That's interesting.
I I feel like I'm very good at knowing my worth. I know that I'm pretty good at this and getting better at it. But I know that confidence is attractive on a stage. If I'm not confident on a stage, nobody's going to laugh because I have to be
Yeah.
that part of myself. It doesn't mean I'm always confident. I don't think anybody is, but there you go. In terms of nerves, rarely anymore, which is really strange. Even now, when it's a big and important gig, I might get some butterflies, but mostly I'm just excited and happy. I think it's a huge advantage starting this so late in life,
Mm.
so that if I'm dying on stage and I'm having an awful time, I'm still having fun. I'm still looking for the person in the room who's laughing, and
That's
I've
it.
got
Yeah.
I've got a little voice in my ear going, "You're dying. You don't always die, but you're dying right now, and you'll learn from this and be better as a result. And you'll think afterwards, oh, maybe I could have handled it like this. And you're okay. You're okay." If I'd done that in my 20s, I don't know if I'd have made my 30s. I would have found it put myself
What?
out. It's part of a rich life now. Oh,
Yeah. Well, there
a
you
rich
are.
life. It is it's part of my life in the context of I also go home to, to my family and my other work. And um, there are times when I think, oh, that was just so embarrassingly bad that I did that on a stage. But there have always been more times when it's gone fine. Um, so now I get some butterflies. It's one of the things Logan taught us actually is it's not fear, it's adrenaline, and that's what's going to make you funny.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The
Um,
reason I mentioned the confidence was the time I saw you in Canterbury. Between you and me, this was infamous because uh, what happened was you started your set, there was a fire alarm, and the whole show had to stop for about half an hour. And
mm,
then you came back on as though nothing had happened. Now that's confidence beyond belief because a lesser comedian would have panicked, would have, what do I do now? But you just took over that night and it was particularly impressive. So,
wow.
congratulations.
Thank you. I obviously remember it really well. I think I was about 17 minutes into my 20.
Yeah,
And I think had I not had a really well structured 20 minutes, I could have just left it there.
yeah.
There wasn't much left to go. But there was a bit of me going, I want to finish the story. Story, and but also it's really important because there's a revelation at the end of my set, as
Yeah,
there is at the end of this show. And without that revelation about my daughter, if I leave her story half told, it doesn't feel right to me.
right.
I feel like I've done her a disservice because I paint her as this horrific teenager throughout my set, and then I explain why she was quite such a horrific teenager at the
Yeah,
end. And so it feels like a disservice to her. The other thing that I had in my corner that evening was that off we went off the stage and we all gathered outside. And then we had 20 minutes, half an hour of waiting to go back on. So I had Ollie, the promoter, saying, well, you can go back on if you want or not, we'll just move on. It's entirely up to. So I had time to think about it
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and to go back on stage and have a bit of a plan of action of how to get back. And I think if I remember rightly, it's probably you. If I remember rightly, I think I said something like, "So where was I?" And people just went, "You said this, and you said this, and you said this," and
It
everybody
was
stopped.
me.
And it was just so lovely. The whole thing felt so warm, and
Yeah,
everybody had been through this same little bit of adversity, but we were all having fun, and then it got stopped. So it was just a lovely, warm space. And doesn't that absolutely show you why live comedy is so important?
oh, without a doubt.
What's
Without
happening
a doubt.
in this room right now with these individuals is the most beautiful thing. I emceed a gig last night, Richard, and the first person I spoke to I just struck gold. He had met a woman a week ago in an airport in Vancouver. She was extremely beautiful. He was 22, he's 22, and he's Canadian and she's British. And he went out, and their flights were delayed. And he went over to the guy sitting next to her and said, "Would you mind swapping seats with me in this waiting room because she's my girlfriend?" Which she
Wow.
wasn't. A week later, he has cancelled all his plans, flown to London, and they're spending a week together. And they're in my comedy night.
Wow. That is
And
incredible.
it was so amazing. So last
That
night,
is
the
amazing.
show last night, and the whole audience was completely invested in this story. And
Well,
I'm saying, right, I'm going to write a sitcom. This is just beautiful. What do you do for a living? What do you, and it was just hilarious
and it
and
was comedy
wonderful.
gold for you because
Oh
you
my
were
goodness.
away with a story like that.
Yeah. 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 And
Yeah.
then everybody else I spoke to was like, well, you're boring, aren't you? Where did you meet? Where did you
Yeah.
meet Tinder? Boring. You're
You're...
pathetic, aren't you? Can't you just move across the world? It's just lovely. It was
that is wonderful.
yeah.
It's so true about being in the moment because when with the fire alarm in your case, another similar example was I saw Jo Caulfield once in Edinburgh, and she was on stage, and just as she started her hour, the lights went out, and she went, and she was, we're all sitting in the dark, and she went, I'm just going to carry on. Did a
Nice.
whole show in the dark. And it
Yes.
was incredible, and that's of the moment, it is an
Yeah, and
amazing thing.
that happens a lot in Edinburgh because I remember standing outside Gilded Balloon
Yeah,
with John Long on the steps, and we all pointed our phone
going
torches at
well.
him,
Yeah,
and he just sang his songs and
yeah,
just
he's
thought, this is so
brilliant.
special. This is so special. Yeah.
Yeah, so good. Let's move on to Edinburgh proper. I'm very lucky to be able to go to Edinburgh, the Edinburgh Fringe every year since 2005. So this
Wow.
last year would be my 19th year. I also go to other festivals and fringes as well. Tell me about your experiences of the Edinburgh Fringe. The first year you went, what sort of shows you were in? Have you been as a punter? And just your overall view of it.
I went, I got the opportunity to go for 3 days when I'd been doing comedy about a year, I think. Um, just because somebody said, come and stay in my flat for 3 days. And I did one open spot. But actually, what I did was I went up to Callie Beaton, who I knew. In fact, Callie and Catherine Bohart, well,
Yeah,
gosh, Catherine's featuring a lot, were doing a split show together. And I knew Callie, and she's a little younger than me, but she's had a whole career in television already. And I went to her and said, can I flyer for you? I want to use this trip as a chance to learn. How do you fly out? How do you? And and being Callie, she was so organized. She went, yep, of course you can. Here's your t-shirt. Here's what you say. Here's who you're approaching. Here's where you're going to flyer. And she literally gave me a lesson in how to fly their show. And I filled their room for 3 days.
wow, well
It was
done,
easy.
you.
It was easy. You go up to people and you go, lunchtime comedy, lunchtime comedy. You go up to anybody with red hair and say, look at your beautiful red hair. This show is for you. These two beautiful women with red hair. It was just had conversations with people and in my t-shirt. And I felt so confident doing that for her, for somebody else. Um, and that was my 3 days. I did one open spot and just flyed for her and then saw a load of shows. I then went the following week for a week. Following year, I did a week of the same thing and flying for Callie for her first work in progress. And I ended up picking up other flyering work for other comedians because I was whatever I'm like as a comedian, I'm bloody good as a flyer. Um,
Well, you must be even
that is
better as a
something, yeah.
comedian.
Oh, God, I hope so because flying is so hard. But I am good at it thanks to her. And uh, I made myself a little form that I'm quite like you in this respect. I made myself a little form and I took loads of copies of this form and I went to see loads of shows, all of my friends' shows, and I
Yeah,
wrote my form out. What is the room like? How low is the ceiling? What's the lighting like? How many people would this show suit my show? Would my audience come to this? Is it too hot? Is there air conditioning? Is there a bar?
yeah.
And I just filled that form out. Really, really helpful. And I ended up at the end of that week finding the exact room I wanted to perform in, talking to a friend who was in that room, went out for a drink with the guy who ran that room, said, I want to be in your venue next year. The following year, I went with a split show. I didn't get that exact space, but for that promoter, it was Sweet, who aren't there anymore. Did a split show with my friend Rebecca, which we loved. Came back the next year after that. So now we're at 2019. Did another split show with Jenny Laville,
Yeah.
who's we only did sort of 10 days, I think. And Jenny's a writer, so I learned so much of the discipline of writing from her. And then was planning to do my first solo show in 2020. And I did my first solo show in 2024.
Wow. And I'm coming to see it. We are
Yeah.
recording this in September 24, and I'm coming to see it very soon. It's at the end
And
of the
I'm
month.
and I'm
And
going to take it around. I mean, you can call it a tour if you want. I'm going to take it to
do
various
it.
places, take it around the country because
Do
I'm
it
so
because,
looking
as I say, I'm really looking forward to seeing it. So,
forward to.
congratulations on it.
Thank you. The best investment I made with it was to get a director.
Yeah.
Spent 3 separate hours. So he watched it 3 times, and we spent 3 separate hours. And he knocked it into shape. Ben van der Velde. I don't know if
Brilliant.
you've
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've heard of him. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
absolute genius for me. It was everything I needed to make what I thought I had a nice show,
Mm.
and he made it into a really. I'm so proud of it. Um,
That's brilliant.
he made it into a really good show. I think it's a good show now.
So,
Um,
using your current show as an example, can you
yeah.
describe your writing process and where you get your ideas from?
Well, it's taken 9 years.
Well, there you are.
uh, I'd say the biggest part of the process, well, and the freshest part is working with Ben.
Yeah,
So we would literally sit down, and he's watched the show and he's made notes, and he'll say, not interested in that bit, you need to cut that bit, but I want to know more about this. And then we'll banter a bit, and we might come out with some jokes or something that makes us both laugh. And that was the discipline I needed to go. I need to write that. I need a bit of that. So I can now a little bit, because the night before Edinburgh started, I wrote a bit. Which is now one of the culminations of the show. And it's a list. And I had a list of 5 things. And he said, add another 10. And I said, really? It'll be just ridiculous. And he went, yep, it'll be ridiculous. Make it a list of 15. And it's now a list of 15 or so. And I'm
wow.
so pleased with that, because it really pulls the show
Yeah, yeah,
very silly at the end. So for me, the most important thing is having somebody else. I also do a once a week Zoom call with Louise Lee,
yeah,
who's a comedian based in Bristol, who's amazing.
yeah.
We it's a sort of an ADHD peer support thing that we do. What? You've got ADHD, Pauline? Surprise! Prerequisite for a comedian. So we keep each other honest with our stuff to do lists. So literally, what did here's your list of things that you said you would do last week, and anything that I didn't do or she didn't do, we won't blame or tell each other off. It's just, okay, what's the block? What's getting in your way? How
Yeah,
can I
yeah,
help? And sometimes we'll write scary emails there and then on the Zoom call and send them off there and then, people apply for this gig, which is beyond me, but I don't really dare to. Well, why not just do it? Amazing. We love it. And she and I will banter and mess about, and then decide who can have that bit of material.
yeah, yeah.
So that's, I would say, writing with other people. So there might be my ideas, or there might be somebody else's idea that I embellish, or it's just funnier. It's just funnier. My husband has written a lot of the stuff, but it's not writing.
Right.
He'll say something funny, and I'll say, well, can I have that? And it'll either be that he said it. I've got a lovely bit about him saying, I don't do it very often these days, about how we went for lunch with friends and they have a dog, and he loved the dog and he played with the dog all afternoon. And at the end of the afternoon, he said, "Oh, he said, when you die, I'm going to get a dog." Now
Charming.
he absolutely did say that, but he said it to be funny, and it's incredibly funny. And from that, I've created this whole character of my husband, who's,
Brilliant.
who's so dreadful and awful, but clearly isn't. Um,
That's so good.
Lovely. And most of the things I say about my children are true. They're not necessarily attributed to the child I attribute them to.
Yeah,
My children are now characters,
yeah,
which
yeah,
is,
yeah,
I
yeah.
use different names for them so that I can say whatever I want about them. Um, and it's embellished, and it's sometimes a little bit fictionalized, but mostly true or based in truth. So I get real things that happen, or real funny things that people say, or just silly anecdotes. And
That's so good. You mentioned about touring the show, and I wish you all the best with doing that. What's fascinating about that is wherever you go, you can judge different audiences
Mhm.
in different places that you go to. Ken Dodd was infamous about that. He had a giggle map of Britain, and so
Nice.
when he went round, he could target specific jokes at specific audiences. Do you think it would slightly change the show where you play?
Um, Probably not,
Hmm.
in that my show appeals to a particular demographic.
Right.
It's quite it's also quite universal. And the delight in Edinburgh was that I wasn't just playing to middle-aged couples.
Yeah.
I was delighted that I had as many men as women in my audiences in Edinburgh, because I thought, being about menopause or whatever, being about a woman's body, men wouldn't be, a middle-aged woman's body, men wouldn't be quite so interested. But I was delighted that I did get plenty of men in the room. And actually, I also targeted a lot with my flyering. I targeted families. Families with teenage or older children, because this is your future. There is stuff in this show for you. You might be pleasantly surprised. But I think if I take my show out and tour it, it is likely to attract older audiences.
Right.
I also find that anyway, once I stopped doing open mic and started doing paid gigs outside of London, audiences are older.
Yeah.
The night where I met you, there were a lot of students, because it's part of the university.
Yeah.
So that's a little unusual, but it was my absolute delight when I started doing gigs around the country, that you go into villages and small towns and it's middle-aged couples going out for the evening. It's not groups of young people the way open mics are in London.
Yeah.
I found much more of a home there anyway, because I'm somebody like you, to those people,
Yeah.
which is lovely.
What's
And then maybe I can be their chappie. Maybe,
well, yeah.
people in the village who see a middle-aged woman doing comedy and think, oh, she's the funny one at the front.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
What's fascinating for me is that my home city is Carlisle, and
Yeah.
they have a very limited um, comedy theatres there. So they have like two little ones, but they get big comedians going there. But the
Yeah.
audiences differ massively from somewhere like London, because
Yeah.
you can do it every single night. I find it amazing. And also as well, I mentioned before about Ken Dodd. He's one of my favourite comedians. Who are your favourite comedians, past and present? Did you have comedy growing up?
I wasn't so aware. I mean, there just was the Morecambe and Wise and
Yeah,
the Two Bonnies, and always loved all of them. What
yeah.
sitcoms did we watch? Reginald Perrin.
Oh,
God,
what a show! A series was brilliant.
yeah, loved Reggie Perrin. So we would watch sitcom and Butterflies. I remember Butterflies. I remember we weren't allowed to watch Butterflies, um, because because the teenagers were having sex and the mother was thinking of having an affair. And it was immoral, so immoral.
Brilliant.
And as I was an older teenager, I watched Butterflies with my mum actually, and we loved it. It was so gentle, so
She's
gentle.
so good, Wendy Craig.
He
The
was
looks to
wonderful.
camera were perfect.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
of course,
and the writing.
can't remember his name, Jeffrey,
Jeffrey Palmer. He's
who was in,
brilliant.
and he was
Yeah,
so brilliant in Reggie Perrin. So we got to,
yeah. And Faulty Towers. I want
yes,
my sausages.
yeah, yeah, I've watched Fawlty Towers as well. In
Yeah.
terms of stand-up, I wasn't that aware of it. I went to see Jeremy Hardy when I was about
Oh wow.
21, and then I saw him towards the end of his life as well, and delightful. What a wonderful, wonderful.
Oh, he's amazing.
Yeah. So, but I would say my favourites. I still listen to Radio 4 comedy. So the chance to see Mark Steele or somebody who's just a brilliant mind like
Yeah,
that, and Jeremy
yeah.
Hardy and those guys. But in terms of stand, I've never seen Sarah Millican live, but I will fall down a rabbit hole online of Sarah Millican clips and think she's just genius and wonderful. And then I find new I get obsessed with people. Again, I suppose it's ADHD. I'll go down rabbit holes of comedians. Absolutely adore Troy Hawk.
Yeah.
And I got to
Good
gig
call.
with him recently and went full on fangirl giggly. He's very pretty. So funny, so funny. I think Catherine Ryan is incredible. I've seen her live.
Yeah.
And sort of, I would take someone like her for granted because she's so big.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think she's incredibly funny. It's all gone out of my head now. I'm trying to think.
There's
I
so
really
many.
I really enjoy seeing women.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of great
Really
women
enjoy.
comedians.
Yeah, so I treated myself in Edinburgh. I treated myself the ones I sort of paid the money for. I treated myself to go see Hannah Gadsby, and I've seen 3 of Hannah Gadsby's shows now, and I think they are just incredibly
She's
funny,
very, very clever. Yeah.
very clever, very funny. Um, and Troy Hawke, I saw that was my big present to myself in a huge theatre at the end and cried with laughter. Saw Jordan Brooks, and I'd never seen Jordan Brooks
It's
before,
brilliant.
and I
He
get it.
deserved the award the other year. He's
Yeah,
amazed because you never know what you're going to get, and I love off-field comedians
yes,
because you never know what he's going to do.
yeah. And
Yeah,
then I love people who just completely surprise you. Like Helen Bauer
yeah,
is just so utterly herself, and herself is so utterly bonkers
yeah.
that that's always a
She's
delight.
lovely
Keyworth
and
Gandhi is lovely.
hilarious. Yeah,
Yeah, Sarah Keyworth, I think, is an absolute genius,
yeah.
especially with crowd work. Um,
I've never seen her do a bad show. She's always made me laugh. Sarah
yeah,
Keyworth.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Sarah is a they now,
yeah,
but is yeah, and is so good. I've seen all of their shows. Heidi Regan, my husband's
yeah.
favorite comedian. We call Heidi Regan homewrecker in our house because he came up to Edinburgh to see my show and he saw Heidi's show first, which was on
Charming.
time. Yeah. First day saw Heidi's show, second day saw my show. Fine.
My first ever gig, aged 7, was on a family holiday in Scarborough, and it was Les Dawson, and
Oh,
it was just incredible. And I remember crying with laughter at him. And then a year later, we saw Tommy Cooper, and I got the bug. And the curtains opened, and he's lying on a bed. Nothing happens for about 2 minutes, and one
yeah.
woman in the audience is crying with laughter, trickles all the way around. Nothing happens, and then at perfect timing, he pops his head up. He goes, "What? What? Somebody come on!"
Oh,
Just magical.
yeah.
And I remember that as clear as a bell. But I've been there in many a pivotal time in comedy. I first came to London in 1988, and my first comedy store bill was John Maloney was comparing Richard Morton, Phil Duputus, Linda Smith, God bless her,
Yes.
and she was brilliant. You mentioned Jeremy Hardy.
Yeah.
And top of the bill was a comedian called Charles Fleischer, who did voices, an American actor, and he was never heard of again because he went off to voice Roger Rabbit. So he made his career doing that. But he
I
was
recognize the
amazing.
name. It's
But
amazing.
oh,
Yeah.
there's so many. I saw Rick Mail in Carlisle. He was a highlight. I saw Bill Hicks in Manchester. I saw Steve Martin in London. On and on and on. Frank Skinner, French and Saunders.
Yeah.
Um, and then
I
of
met
course,
Dawn French in
oh,
Edinburgh.
I'd love to meet her. I saw her last show, and I think she's a genius. She's
I was
so.
able to, this was so lovely. I saw her and I went, oh, I literally said, I can tell you my Dawn French story. She looked a bit skeptical, and I went, no, no, because it's such a beautiful story.
Yeah,
My mum had dementia,
right,
and I would go around to my mum's house and visit her, but I would also empty the bins to make sure she wasn't throwing anything away that was important.
sure,
And I went round one day, and she said, "Are you the one that does comedy?" And I said, "Yes." And I was so pleased that she remembered because she did come to see me just once.
brilliant.
And she said, "Have I ever told you you look like Dawn French?" And I said, "Oh, that's so lovely. I adore Dawn French. How wonderful." And the next time I went round to my mum's house, I was emptying her bins and I found a note. And the note said, "Tell Pauline she looks like Dawn French."
Oh wow!
And I got to tell, and I said, "Oh, I get to tell you the story." I told Dawn French, and she threw her arms around me,
Oh,
and I
that's
got a
lovely.
selfie with her. And it was like, you are such a hero to be
That
able
is
to
lovely. That is
read her
lovely.
book.
I had a,
Yeah,
I have a
beautiful.
similar story. My dad was dying, and I was the last. It starts off really horrible. I was the last person to see him live, and when I ran in to see him, he had cancer, and he's holding his hand up, and I ran in, and he leant over and he said, "Tell me the joke, tell me the joke," and it was an old Barry Cryer joke, which he absolutely loved. And then he passed on, and this was in the April. And in the August at the Fringe, I met Barry Cryer, and I said to him, I told him the story about my dad, and he shook my hand, and he went, "I'm so sorry for your dad's passing, but I'm so pleased my jokes travel."
Oh,
And he would have loved that. And
dear.
and and the big coup on this particular podcast was I was the last person to interview Barry Cryer about his career. It's
Oh, I must.
episode 20 on the podcast. He's just the loveliest man. He
Yeah.
sort of looked at me skeptically at the start and thought, "Who's this fly by night?" But because
Mm,
I'd researched it all, by the end of it, he loved it.
that's so nice.
I
And I
had
have
a
to say, if I could have seen him live,
oh, it was
because
brilliant.
so because I listened to a lot of Radio 4 comedy, he was so sharp,
Written
so
for everybody, knows
fun.
everybody.
Yeah,
Great gag teller. Uh,
beautiful joke.
Ladies and gentlemen, Sex at 75 is fantastic. Me and the wife live at number 83. Great one-liners. And I got a lovely message from his son when he passed on saying you probably were the last person to have chatted to him about his career, and he
Yeah,
absolutely loved it. And I was so moved, and I got a ticket to go and see his tribute, and it was just lovely. You mentioned before about Sarah Millican. I've
mm,
seen her a number of times.
yeah,
I saw her in concert in Carlisle. She was brilliant with the audience. But the first time I saw her was in Edinburgh before she was famous, and she played a little hut, and you could just tell the talent and the confidence and ability to
yeah,
deliver the material so well. She was brilliant, and she had the audience in the palm of her hand, and that's all you can ask for, really.
yeah. I know.
She's one
Yeah.
of the best. She really is. Um, like me, do you go to a lot of comedy gigs as a member of the audience?
Only in Edinburgh now.
Right.
Oh no, well, I will often see shows I've missed. So I'll go and see Edinburgh Hours, and I'll go and see shows I've missed at the Soho Theatre afterwards or elsewhere. Um, I don't any longer. I only went through a short phase, really. I wouldn't really go and see a comedy lineup, just a comedy night,
Yeah.
because it's a bit of a busman's holiday, really. Um, but I will go and see. I love an Edinburgh Hour. I think an Edinburgh Hour is such a beautiful thing, and
It's
I
a
will
perfect
usually,
time, isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah.
usually in the autumn I will pick up any of the shows I would have liked to have seen in Edinburgh, and I
Yeah.
didn't.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll see them in preview because I have downstairs at the King's Head very near me,
Oh,
and
that's one of my
previously,
favourite comedy clubs.
yeah. So last year I went and during the preview season I just watched Paul Sinha followed by Glenn Moore.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Brilliant.
Just
Brilliant.
insanely great.
I used to go. I used to live in North London, and
Yeah,
I used to go to the King's Head. God, 30 years ago.
yeah.
And my
Same.
favourite memory of it is my best opening line ever to a comedy show, and it was Harry Hill, well before he was famous. He walked on, brushed past me, jumped up onto the King's Head stage, and he said, "Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm really sorry I'm late for the show. I had to have a testicle brought down." Got a massive laugh, and then he said, "From Derby." And when I met him 30 years later, he went, "Oh, hello, Rich." He said, "I still tell that to this day." Just wonderful.
My favourite opening line, and you often can't tell who's going to be good and who's not going to be good, but I emceed a gig for Funny Women, and this young woman came onto the stage who I've never seen anybody so good at the very first one. It was Rosie Jones.
Oh, she's brilliant.
She came on and she did that line which because her timing is so impeccable,
Yeah.
working with her voice and her disability. And she came on and she said, "You can probably tell from listening to my voice
I
that
know
I
it's coming.
suffer from being northern." Oh, oh.
there's,
And it
there's,
and it
there's
takes
that line.
30 seconds that she and this joke is just
It's
so
so
good and it
good.
weighs
It's
me.
so
And I'm
good.
feeling a bit, and it's her first gig, and you're feeling a bit sort of charitable. Oh, I'll laugh politely, whatever she says, and then you are so beautiful.
there's there's that line. There's a little extension of it. She said, you probably realise that I've got enormous breasts.
Yes.
Similar thing, and everybody
Yeah.
claps. I'm like,
Yes.
you can't say
Yeah.
that. So good.
She just takes your feelings about her disability and goes, fuck off.
She's
Yeah.
just wonderful.
Delicious.
I'm so pleased that she's done so well.
Yeah, no problem.
I've much enjoyed chatting to you. It's been an absolute joy. You've been a fantastic guest. Thank
Oh,
you
thank
so
you.
so much. Just before we go, is there anything you'd like to say about any writing or any explain more about the tour or where people can find you on social media? Have you got a podcast? Anything like that?
I think by the time this goes out, hopefully I will have organised the tour and it'll be so it's I'm on all of the socials at Yes Pauline Eyre, and Eyre
Yeah.
is Eyre. On TikTok, which I've just started trying to do, it's Yes Pauline Eyre 6. Um, I have a podcast with Louise Lee, which we did during lockdown. It's called Air Lee Doors. So it's
That
pun
is
on names.
genius.
Well, yeah, except you can't find it if
Ah.
you don't know how to spell it. If you search for the salad spinner of destiny, you'll find it. We have some fantastic comedians on it. So Air Eyre and Leigh Air Lee Doors. But
Yeah,
we are also hot off the press, and hopefully by the time this goes out, it will we will be starting to record them. We're going to do a new podcast, tentatively at the moment, called Ask Your Mums. We're going to have some intergenerational conversations with younger comedians and mother them a bit and see where the comedy takes us with
that
that.
is a good idea.
Thank
Very
you.
good
Yeah,
idea.
yeah. We
Well,
need to tell them
I,
how it should be.
I'm looking forward to seeing you very, very soon, and I wish you
Thank
all
you.
the very best. I think you're a major talent, and you make me laugh
Oh,
so much. All the very best to you.
thank you so much. Thank you.
All the best.